Hi, my name is Nikita and today we are going to discuss about SAT. So what basically SAT exam is made up of? SAT constitutes of two sections, one is maths and second is evidence-based reading and writing. And today we are going to discuss about the second one, that is evidence-based reading and writing. It further constitutes of two tests, one is reading test and another one is writing and language test. As you can see it on the screen, that reading test constitutes of 52 number of questions to be done in 65 minutes, and whereas writing and language test constitutes of 44 number of questions to be done in 35 minutes. The score range that we can have on verbal SAT is 200 to 800. Today we are essentially going to discuss about writing and language test. It constitutes of 4 passages, 44 questions to be done in 35 minutes, and all the questions are multiple choice based. So one might think that the name of the test is writing and language, so we might have to write down something, but that's not the case. All the questions that you are going to witness are going to be multiple choice. The questions associated with the passages will put you in the role of someone revising and editing the work of an unspecified writer. What does this mean? That means the passages that will be in front of you and the questions that you will be asked will be on the basis of revising and editing the work by the author that's already been done. Questions are basically going to ask you to improve the development of the language that is used over there, its organization, and you have to basically the use of the language in the passage and to make sure that the passages follow conventions or standard English grammar usage and punctuations. I hope it is getting understandable now that what type of questions we are going to witness. After a little while, we are going to see all the questions in detail. The type of questions you will be answering have been carefully designed to help you demonstrate the literary skills that are keys to success in college and career. So that is the basic mindset that we have to prepare ourselves with. Let's have a look. Now, this is something that your question paper is going to look like. Writing and language test, 35 minutes, 44 questions. 4 of the passages, 11 number of questions per passage. So it is going to be written over here just like this. Question number 1 to 11 are based on the following passage, and you are going to see this heading in bold that is related to the passage. Here it is way to go. On the left hand side, you are going to see the passage, and on the right hand side, the questions associated with the passage. I'm going to scroll down till the passage gets completed so you can have a fair look of how it's going to seem like. Till here. After that, the next passage will start. Okay. Coming back, we'll start reading from here. It says, way to go. Greek yogurt, a strained form of cultured yogurt, has grown enormously in popularity in the United States since it was first introduced in the country in the late 1980s. Now, the general introduction of the term that's already given over here, that is Greek yogurt, has been associated. From 2011 to 2012 alone, sales of Greek yogurt in the US increased by 50%. Now further information, we are getting the further information related to the data. The resulting increase in Greek yogurt production has forced those involved in the business to address the detrimental effects that the yogurt making process may be having in the environment. Now see, the problem has been introduced that there is some effort or questionable thing about the process that is associated with its making. Fortunately, farmers and others in the Greek yogurt business have found many methods of controlling and eliminating most environmental threats. That means now the idea has been associated that it's making up is having some negative connotation, but it is being taken care of by the farmers. Given these solutions as well as the many health benefits of the food, the advantages of Greek yogurt undo the potential drawbacks of its production. Now, this particular sentence is having for our first question that you can see is marked over here, and on the right hand side, one is written. First of all, I would like to tell you that there are few questions which give us the direction. Like you can have a look at question number 2. It says which choice provides the most relevant detail. We are given the direction over here that what we are supposed to do, but that direction is missing in question number 1. When such case appears, it means that we are provided with the options and we have to choose the best of the option. A says no change. That means whatever the underlying portion, a word or a club of words is that we are going to witness is going to be the answer. I hope that you have understood that. Now let's come back to the question. It says, given these solutions as well as many health benefits of the food, the advantages, let's pay focus on the word advantages. The advantages of Greek yogurt is doing what? Outdo the potential drawbacks. So I find two words over here. The first one is advantage, other one is backdrop, that are being used, and they're going to help us in finding out the best of the word associated with these two. Now let us discuss a little strategy that we should opt for over here. We are supposed to follow the elimination process. Let me explain what we mean by that. It means that we are not looking forward to the answer from with the perspective of getting the right answer, but we are looking with the perspective to eliminate the wrong ones. Because what happens is that at times we get very much convinced with one of the answer at the very initial stage, but later on it turns out to be that there was some other option available which was better in comparison to the previous one. So elimination process says, get your reasons ready, that if you are if you are eliminating A, then what is the good reason behind it. Same with B. For say you get the answer that you are very confident that B doesn't make any sense as per the context. What do I mean by as per the context? That means what it makes sense over here. You are confident to eliminate B. Then you read C and you feel like it might also be the right answer. Then you are going to keep this question on hold. You are now at the stage where A could be right or C could be right, kind of a thing. And then you have to go with D. And if you feel like you can eliminate that even, then you will be deciding which one is better, A or C, as per the context, as per what is going on in the passage and how accurately you can associate the word in accordance to what our author is trying to say. Let's have the look at the particular question. So as I was pointing out that there are two words which are going to help us. First is advantage and the second one is drawback. Let's have a look at the actual meaning of the words over here that are given. First, outdo. Now what do we mean by outdo? Outdo means to be superior in action or performance. That I want to outdo that girl in the competition. That means you want to be superior in your performance. What do we mean by the word defeat? Defeat means winning a victory, that you are conquering something. Third is outperform. Now, as the word is very much indicative enough, for it is related to the performance. Performing better than somebody else. And outweigh is when you are actually weighing the pros and cons of some situation. So let's have a look now at the question, that what were we doing? Coming back again, the words were advantages, drawbacks, pros, cons, positive, negative. So the best of the word that we can associate as per the context is going to be outweigh. Now, if you might be having one of the option in your mind that outdo could also be the right option, but as I said, it was related to the performance, and we have very right reason to be specific over here, because it is more of a general word and it is more of a specific word. I hope it makes sense. Now, let me highlight something here. What was this first question? What was the type of this first question? We call such type of a question as effective language use. These questions ask you to revise text, to improve written expressions, and to achieve the writer's purpose. Pay attention to the detail to achieve the writer's purpose. What was actually writer trying to say here? That the advantages overweigh. Advantages are in greater number in comparison to the drawbacks of its production. Let me recall the point a little bit, that what we have just read. Greek yogurt, we are reading about Greek yogurt. Something is going on over here, that there is some trouble with its making, but farmers are actually making their best of the effort to eliminate most environmental threats. And then they conclude this particular paragraph by saying that advantages are more. Advantages outweigh the potential drawbacks of the production. All right. Let's move on to second question. It says, which choice provides the most relevant detail? First of all, you should be able to see if 2 is written over here and 2 is written over here, that means this is the area in relation to what this question is. So now there is no one word underlined over here. It is one complete sentence. Supplement and people can make their own Greek yogurt at home by straining regular yogurt. You're not necessarily supposed to read just this part. Means obviously it's not going to make sense if you're going to read from the middle. It is just that I wanted to highlight that this is where the question is associated. This paragraph starts from the main environmental problem and ends at reusing way. Let's start reading it. One point that I want to highlight here is that understanding of the passage becomes very, very important. You see, at least twice or thrice I repeated what we are actually reading. You know, one of the biggest trouble that students face is that they keep on reading, but they are not actually comprehending what they have just read. And this results in a loss of time. And it becomes like very important point to note that whatever you are reading, make sure that you are comprehending that information, that piece of information that you are reading should make sense to you. You should understand the connection of the text with the previous set statement and the next coming of paragraph, so on so forth. Let's start with the second paragraph. It says, the main environmental problem caused by the production of Greek yogurt is the creation of acid whey as the byproduct. Now, in the previous paragraph, they set the talk that it is causing some of the problems. In the second paragraph, they start us by telling that what the problem is. So, the problem is the creation of acid whey as a byproduct. Because it requires up to 4 times more milk to make than conventional yogurt does, Greek yogurt produces larger amounts of acid whey, which is difficult to dispose of. In the second sentence of this paragraph, they say that it is making a lot of larger amounts of acid whey, which is getting difficult to dispose of. So now we are getting closer to the exact problem that is associated with the production of Greek yogurt. To address the problem of disposal, now the third sentence is making up to how the problem is being addressed. Farmers have found a number of uses for acid whey. Farmers, as it was said earlier as well, I'm repeating that farmers are actually looking for the number of ways to dispose it of. They have reinforced this point over here. Continuing, They can add it to livestock feed as a protein supplement, and people can make their own Greek style yogurt at home by straining regular yogurt. So this part of the information is underlined. That means it's not necessarily the right one. You have to make a choice. When A says no change, that means if you will be selecting A, you will be selecting this particular statement that's written here to be true, or you have the choice to replace it with B or C or D. Now, coming back to the strategy that we discussed, that we are going to eliminate. To follow the process of elimination, we should focus on seeing that what change the options are offering us. If A says people can make their own Greek style yogurt at home by straining regular yogurt, I am going to keep this point in mind. Let me read B point. It says supplement and convert it into gas and to use as fuel in electricity production. Definitely, the very first thought that's going to come into our mind is that there are some new words over here which we have not talked about previously. Third, while sweet whey is more desirable as a food additive for humans. All right. Now D says supplement, which provides an important element of their diet. Now, see that the language is different in all the four options, and we have to make the best of the choice. How are we supposed to do it now? Coming to the point, like before saying how we are supposed to do, let us read something about it. The type of the question is development. That means it is developing what is said earlier, what is coming up next, how the language should develop. Development questions on the writing and language test get to the heart of what the writer is trying to express. It's very important for us to keep this in mind, to target what the author or the writer is actually trying to express. When you answer a development question, you'll be looking for ways to enhance the writer's message by clarifying the main points. That means it becomes really important for us to know that what main points are in the mind of the writer. Adding or changing supporting details, sharpening the focus. Remember this detail. Now, how will be in a position to see or to make out what the points are in the mind of a writer? For that, we should have a good grip over what we have just read about. Let me pay focus to sentence number 3. What it just said: to address the problem of disposal, farmers have found a number of uses. So the very previous sentence was saying that farmers have already found the number of uses. That means what are you supposed to expect next? The list of the number of the uses that they have found for the disposal, right? So the first reason is already given over here. It says they can add it to livestock. Number of uses they have found. The first use is number of uses. It's plural. That means we are expecting more than one. First one is they can add it to livestock feed as a protein supplement. That means essentially whatever the language that we are going to choose over here has to be a number of use for acid weight, number of use. Let us assess all the information given on the basis whether it's the use or not. Greek yogurt style at home by straining regular yogurt. Now you see that this information is very generic. That Greek yogurt can be made like this. Is the question that we need to ask ourselves is it the number of use? Answer is no. Second says convert it to gas to use as fuel in electricity production. Does it sound anything like the number of use that it can be put to? Answer is yes. It's a use, right? That it can be used as a fuel in electricity production. As I was reading it in the first go, I highlighted that at the very initial stage, it seems it's not the right answer because the words are new. So don't get really confused by such scenarios, and this is going to serve as a good example over here, that you should not be pre-convinced by any answer, that this is not going to be the case. Each option stands equal chance of getting correct. So B sounds pretty nice as per the question asked for now. Let's see for the third option, that is C. While sweet whey is more desirable as a food additive for humans. Again, this is some general information given over here, but it is not the number of use. D says which provides an important element for their diet. This information is true. It is providing important element of the diet, but again, it is not as per the context. The question, the connection with the question becomes very, very important. We have to pay attention to what basically the question is asking, and the question is asking most relevant detail. Relevant detail, we got the clue from the previous words, number of users, and we paid attention to it, and from that we found out the one of the use, and which brings us down to B as the correct answer. All right, let's move forward now. If it is improperly introduced, now what we have just done, number of users, one of them was already written, second we have made out. If it is improperly introduced into the environment, what is it? It's acid whey. If it is improperly introduced into the environment, acid whey runoff can pollute waterways, depleting the oxygen content of stream and rivers as it decomposes. So now the situation is given, if it is not properly disposed of, then what hazardous things can happen? It can pollute waterways, it can deplete the oxygen, and so on. Now the question 3 is, 3 of the words are underlined over here. Can pollute waterways, and no specific detail, no specific direction of the question is given over here, and the options are given. Can pollute waterways, B says can pollute waterways within in apostrophe in waterways, then could have polluted waterways, D says has polluted waterways. How would you come to know that what the question is trying to test us on? By making out that what difference is the option actually showing us. If A says can pollute waterways, what is the difference that B is offering? An apostrophe in the word waterways. What difference C option is offering? That they have replaced can with could have polluted waterways, and D has replaced can with has, and also it has an apostrophe with waterways. Now this is like a test of the grammar rule. No specific questions related to grammar rules is going to be asked. Okay, this is one of the sentence, convert the active tense to passive, or XYZ type of question. Not like that. All the grammatical questions are also going to be embedded within the passage like this. So we have to make the choice. And to make a choice for the best usage of the words, we should know very specifically when we use can, when we use could, when we use has, or when we use apostrophe or not. Let's have a look over here. When do we use can? Can is also used to suggest something that might happen in future. It can do this. I can go to the market. Example, if you finish your homework, you can go to the movies. Okay, so what is it doing over here? Might happen in the future. Let's pay focus to where could is used. By contrast, when could is used in this way, it refers to something that you believe is likely to be true or to happen, likely to be. It's not necessarily going to happen. in the sentence, we could have as many as 10 people come to dinner tonight. That means there is a possibility of them coming. Could is used to say that it is possible that 10 people will come to the speaker's home for dinner. Possibility. Okay. Can was associated with it might happen, and could is related to the possibility of happening. Another thing that we witnessed in the question was has. Has is indicating completed action, that something is done. She has completed her homework. That means the action is completed. All right. Another thing that we witnessed in that question was apostrophe. Now, what apostrophe does? It creates possession. Possession means having something, the sense of belongingness. The girl's pencil box, girl apostrophe S. The girl's pencil box. That means the pencil box of the girl. It belonged to the girl. So, coming back to the question, it said, if it is improperly introduced into the environment, acid waste runoff can pollute waterways. That means there is a little surety that it might do that. Okay. And in B part, it says can pollute waterways. So the very first question that we need to ask ourselves is, do we need the possession over here? Is there any sense of belongingness coming up in relation to some other context? Answer is no. Nobody is owning anything. Nobody is possessing anything. So apostrophes would be deleted. One way is you are eliminating B and D options on just the basis of apostrophes. If I talk about has polluted, I just told has is indicating completed action. So is it completed? Is this what was being talked about in the passage? No, it was said that if it happens, then it can do something we are predicting. So has is like completed action. So definitely the action is not completed. D is eliminated and B is eliminated. And we are down to the choice of two options, that is can pollute waterways or could have polluted waterways. If you want to have a look again, can is something might happen and could is referring to likely to be happen. So definitely we have more of the surety that if it is improperly introduced, then it is actually going to pollute waterways. So definitely A becomes the right answer, which is it can pollute waterways, depleting the oxygen content of streams and rivers as it decomposes. Alright, moving further, yogurt manufacturers, food scientists, and government officials are also working. Earlier, we just read that farmers are working upon coming up with ways. Now they are concluding this particular paragraph on the thought that yogurt manufacturers, food scientists, and government officials are also working together to develop additional solutions for reusing waste. All right. Now have a closer look at what is given over here. A says that an semicolon should come before and B suggests that a colon should come before and. C says a comma would be fine and D says a comma before and after and as well. Question is essentially paying attention to the punctuation, which is part of grammatical concepts, right? So we have to make a choice of the correct usage of punctuation in this particular sentence. Now, for this, we should know particularly when semicolon, colon, or commas should be aptly used. Let's have a look. The most common use of the semicolon is to join two independent clauses without using a conjunction like and. So when do we use a semicolon? When we join two independent clauses. Now what are independent clauses? the clauses which have their own subject and verb, and they are not dependent. The word itself is indicative enough. Independent, that means they are not dependent on anyone. So when the clauses are not going to be dependent, when they will have their own subject and verb. They're not depending on the other information. For say, let me give you an example. I say, I went to the market, I saw a cat. I went to the market, semicolon, I saw a cat. That means the two said statements are standing alone. I can put a semicolon in between them. But if I changed my sentence to when I was going to the market, so definitely it is like we are expecting something to happen now. When I went to the market, okay then, right? So dependency comes up. So when the dependency is not there in the clauses, we call them independent. So in connection of two independent clauses, we use the semicolon. Let's come to the concept of colon. A colon introduces an element or series of elements that illustrates or amplifies the information that precedes the colon. What it means when we are discussing about a list, okay, I am writing down the grocery list and I say, okay, you all the products that I want from the market are, then I put a colon and I write down chocolate, bread, eggs, XYZ, anything. Okay, so before putting up a list, series of elements and kind, in that sentence we use colon. Another information related to these two concepts, while a semicolon normally joins two independent clauses to signal a close connection between them, I went to the market, I saw a cat, so there was a connection between the two said statements, right? So that's what written over here. What does colon do? A colon does the job of directing you to the information following it, that is below it, the list that carries afterwards. All right. Now, when you have a list that contains more than two elements, now we are having a look at the usage of commas. We have had a close look at what colon and semicolon are used for. Now, if we talk about when actually the commas are used, actually, there are like multiple uses of commas, but in relation to this question, it is used in the context when you have a list that contains more than two elements. This A, B, C. Use commas to separate them, right? Have a look. Yogurt manufacturers, food scientists, and government officials. So, there is a list going on. But the list is not coming after this point, right? It has already started over here. The elements start coming up from the very first word of the sentence, that is yogurt manufacturers. So we have yogurt manufacturers, food scientists, government officials, and which is more than two in number. So C becomes the right answer. We are going to put comma before and. All right. Now let's come to the next question, which says to make this paragraph most logical. So which paragraph? Let's trace down 5. 5 is written over here and there is nothing following after that. That is why the direction is given over here. To make this paragraph, that means the paragraph that you just read, most logical, sentence 5 should be placed where it is now, after sentence 1, after sentence 2, or after sentence 3. Okay, so this is sentence 1, the main environment, it's continued. See, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Whenever you see one of the paragraph being marked with the sentences like this, that means one of the question like this is going to appear on screen. There were no markings in the previous sentence, in the previous paragraph, but in this paragraph, all the sentences are marked. How we are supposed to look for these type of questions? These types of questions are called organizational questions. You are going to organize, right? That one of the sentence is going to place where best. You are going to organize the thought. Some expression of ideas question require you to improve the structure of the passage. So definitely it's quite transparent that if we are replacing one of the sentence, that means we are restructuring the passage to enhance logic and cohesion. In other words, organizing it. Here are some examples. Logical consequence, make sure that the material is presented in the most logical sequence. That is one of the things that we have to keep in our mind. In these questions, sentences in a paragraph will be numbered and you have to change their placement. So this type of questions are called organizational questions. Now, how should we, I would like to give you a tip over here that, whensoever you are going to have a look at this type of the paragraph, then start extracting the information at the very right time. Don't wait for question number 5 to appear, then you are going to pay attention to it from the start. No. If you have a fair look, then this particular paragraph carries 4 of the questions out of 11 that we are going to have in one of the passage. Why not read it very closely from the start, even when we were trying to solve the questions 2, 3 and 4. We will be in this manner, we will be able to pay good attention to the details and we won't have to read it again, because obviously time is going to be one of the constraints if we don't manage it properly. Alright, so what is the first sentence trying to tell us? That I'm going to take the hint. What was, if I say the heading of the sentence? It is that the acid way as a byproduct has been created. First sentence is saying this. Second sentence was essentially focusing on the detail that now it is produced as a byproduct, now it is difficult to dispose of. And third sentence is saying that farmers have found a number of uses. Fourth is actually giving the details of the number of uses. So it makes like I'm taking a pause in between. Let me tell you, number of users, definitely the number of users are going to follow afterwards. That means it is very, very evident, very much evident over here that 3 and 4 are inseparable. Number of users and then they will be followed by the actual number of users that have been listed. Alright, coming back, what is fifth trying to tell us? That if it is improperly introduced, then it can pollute, right? And sentence 6 is saying what? That everybody, A, B and C, food, yogurt manufacturers, food scientists and government officials are working towards it. We have to focus on sentence 5, replacement. 5 was saying that it can pollute, right? Where do you think now it should be placed? It is created, it's difficult to dispose of. Then, if not introduced properly, then it is going to make harm to the environment. You see that there is this parallelism going on, right? Step by step. It's created. The problem is there. What should we do? And after that, you are telling what will happen if you are not going to dispose it of properly. Then it is going to create the pollution. After that, you will say that everybody is looking for or the farmers are looking for the solution. I hope that makes sense. So, after sentence 3, it makes the best of the sense. Alright. Let's move on to the next question. It says, now the direction is given for the question. I'm going to read the direction first. It says, the writer is considering deleting the underlined sentence. Should the writer do this? Now, one of the line is underlined over here. You are given options that whether this particular statement, sentence should be deleted or not. two of the options are saying yes, you should delete it because of this reason. B says yes, delete it because of this reason. C says no, don't delete it with the particular reason that's given over here. And D is also saying no, don't delete it because of this particular reason. All right, we will be reading the reasons that they have given, but first let me highlight what type of a question it is. So as I discussed earlier, developmental questions. So you are developing whether that particular type of information should occur because of the particular reason or it should be deleted. So we have to, how should we mold our thinking for doing that? By actually assessing it, whether it's required or not. And to come up to the point whether it's required or not, we have to connect with the information that was previously stated and which is following afterwards. I'm reading the sentence again. It says, though these conversation methods can be costly and time consuming, they are well worth the effort. So in the previous paragraph, the whole paragraph was about, okay, this is created and everybody's trying to solve it. And if it is not introduced, then this is going to happen. Now, all these methods are costly and they are time consuming, but they are saying that it is well worth the effort. Let me read the options now. A says that delete this information because it does not provide a transition from the previous paragraph. Now, if I talk about what do I mean by transition, transition means the movement of from the previous paragraph to the next paragraph. It might sound that they are not connected, or you may feel it's like 50-50 thing happening for now, that okay, they were talking about the ways that we can opt for, and A is saying yes, delete it because it's not providing a very good transition. So you can have the mixed opinion for now. B says yes, delete it because it fails to support the main argument of the passage, not the particular paragraph, but the passage as introduced in the first paragraph. That means first paragraph has laid the basis of the discussion, and this particular information is not in accordance to the related topic. But do you really feel it is not related to the topic? Not really, because they are talking about the cost that is involved. The problem that is in front of us is how we are going to dispose it off. Let me show you something. Way to go, acid way, that to go, to dispose it off. So definitely the information which is concerning this acid way is going to be one of the connect. So I can't really, for this point, you need to have this much of the interpretation. Give equal importance to each and every option. Don't get preconceived knowledge, preconceived notion that I feel that don't get biased for one of the option that it seems like correct because words are matching. We are supposed to logically approach each and every question. All right, option C says no, don't delete it because it continues the explanation of how acid way can be disposed of. Is it actually discussing about how the disposal is done? So the very first option which I am very confident about deleting is C, because the information is definitely related, but it is not explaining. Pay attention to the details. It is not explaining how it is disposing of. All right. Now D is saying do not delete it because it sets up the argument in the paragraph for the benefits of Greek yogurt. How would I even come to know whether this particular sentence is setting up the notion until and unless I have actually read the paragraph that they are talking? All right. So for that, we have to read it. Let me give you one of the tip over here. I know we are solving question number 6 over here, but you can see the marking 7, 8, 9 are going to be related to the information that we are seeing over here. So pay close attention to even the tiniest of the detail because you are not just working for question number 6, but you're working for 7, 8, 9 and the following questions as well. So let's read the paragraph first. It says, though these methods can be costly, but they are well worth the effort. Nutritionists consider Greek yogurt to be healthy food. Why? Because it is excellent source of calcium and protein. It serves to be, for now I will be reading the words that are written over here. Serves to be a digestive aid, and it contains few calories in its unsweetened, low and no fat form. Greek yogurt is slightly lower in sugar and carbohydrates, so they're talking about the nutritional value. Also, because it is more concentrated, Greek yogurt contains slightly more protein serving. So you see, I am just skimming. That means I'm just taking the clue of the information that is given over here. They're talking about it's the calcium, protein, and carbohydrates, sugar, and the percentage of the how much of the protein is there in the how much of it is making the content of the Greek yogurt basically. All right. And it may feel you satiated for longer periods of time. These health benefits. So they are talking about the health benefits. In fact, Greek yogurt can be found in an increased number of products such as, and now where this is found, XYZ information is given. Because consumers reap the nutritional benefits which make and sell, therefore farmers should continue finding effective. So they have given the multiple positive reasons Greek yogurt, and then they are saying because it is very nutritious, it should continue finding safe and effective methods of producing the food. All right, so I have taken the clear notion of what the paragraph was about. Now I can say when they are talking, ultimately they ended the paragraph with that it is very nice and we should find safe and effective methods of producing, even though they are time consuming, and they say that it is well worth the effort. I really want to emphasize over here that until and unless I have been through the information till the end, I wouldn't have made out whether this is associated with this particular information or not. So should we delete it? No, we should not delete it because it is actually setting up the argument in the paragraph for the benefit. First sentence is definitely setting up the argument for the last sentence. Initially, we were like that it is not providing the transition, but it is definitely related. So this is not the right reason. We said that deleted because it is supporting the main argument. It is failing to support. So it was not failing to support the argument. It was definitely in relation to the topic that the passage is discussing. C said do not delete it because it continues the explanation. So it is definitely, we eliminated it in the first go even. So D becomes the right answer. Let's move on to the next one. Nutritionists consider Greek yogurt to be a healthy food. That means it's an healthy food. And then they are giving the reason why it is a healthy food. It is an excellent source of calcium and protein. Serves to be a digestive aid. Now, options are to be, as, like, or for. I'm not supposed to read just the words, but I am supposed to read it in this manner. It serves to be a digestive aid. It serves as a digestive aid. It serves like a digestive aid, or it serves for a digestive aid. For this particular question, let's revise few of the concepts. When do we use to be? To be is used when we want to associate the notion of being. To be a healthy food. I just want to be healthy. Being, the state of being something. I just want to be healthy. It feels so good to be home. So we need to ask ourselves, is it being a digestive aid or is it actually serving as a digestive aid? Right? We use as with a noun to refer to the role of purpose. Role. what it is going to be. Purpose. What's the purpose of it? Purpose is serving as digestive aid. Okay. When do we use like? Like is used as a preposition telling where. Where is it? Like, giving an example. When or how the noun in the sentence is doing whenever it may be doing. Like she has done it, when we give the examples. Like this, like that. So were we actually comparing it with something? No. Okay. For is used for a purpose. That means I am preparing for SAT exam because I want my admission in a very good university, right? Purpose. For someone, I bought a chocolate for my niece. For duration, for how long? For 2 hours, for 7 hours, or anything. Or it can also mean because. That means for giving reason we use for. I bought this pencil for drawing. The reason, why? So, are we giving any reason of digestive aid? No. Are we comparing it with something? No. To be, is it being something? No. So, essentially the answer becomes B, that is as. It serves as a digestive aid and it contains few calories in its unsweetened loaf. Alright. Now this option is a tense question. It contains, containing, contains, or will contain. Will contain, we go with the elimination process, we'll find the solutions, we'll find the reasons why we should eliminate the options. Now will is in relation to the future. Will contain, definitely not associated. Containing, continuation. We're not talking in the continuous tense. You can have a look at all the words that are used over here, the flow in which the language the author was actually talking about. The writer has written the whole passage. So it's not in continuous tense. We can eliminate it. The real challenge comes up deciding between it contains and contains. Let me bring one important notice over here. Have a look. We are going to discuss about the parallelism over here. Now, parallelism says follow a certain pattern. Okay? See, after colon, it says it is an essential source of calcium and protein, comma, serves to be a digestive aid, and it contains. There are 3 parts to this sentence after colon. It is serving, and there is no usage of it serves, right? We could have written it serves to be, and then with the third part it says it contains, right? So this part is not underlined. That means we have no choice over here. It's written, we have to take it as already given. Parallelism says if it is used over here, you're not supposed to use it again and again. Why? Because it is missing with the second part. So essentially we will not be using it even with the third part, because we have used it at the initial stage. No need to use it at second because it's given. We are not making a choice. It's given. It's not used. That means it is giving us the direction that you are not supposed to use it in the third go. Now let me give you an example. Let me mold it a little. Had it been written over here, it is an excellent source, it serves to be digestive, then our correct answer would have been A. And it continues. That means we would have maintained that parallelism, that continuation in the form in which the sentence is written. But it was not used with the second part. We are not going to use it with the third part as well. And we will choose contains as the right answer. Alright, moving further. Also, because it is more concentrated, Greek yogurt contains more protein per serving. Now the options are also, in other words, therefore, and for instance. All these words are called transition words. Transition means the movement. The first one is also. When do we use also? Also, when we are adding on the information, right? I also did this. And we use, in other words, when we are rephrasing the previous said statement. Therefore is conclusionary. I was not feeling well, therefore I did not attend my class. Okay, so it's followed by a reason. And for instance means example. Now to make a selection, we have to see what kind of the information you were talking about in previously and what you are talking about afterwards. Is the second sentence, that means if I talk about the sentence after the transition word, is it and serving as an instance, or is it conclusion to something, or is it rephrased, or it is some addition? So what were we talking about? Greek yogurt is essentially lower in carbohydrates and sugar because it is more concentrated, proteins per serving, therefore helping people stay more satiated. So definitely it's not an example. Is it? Is it this, or is it rephrase? Okay, let me do it this way. Is it rephrasing? It's definitely not a rephrasing. So you see, you are adding on the information over here. It's not serving as an example. Okay, it's not the conclusion and it is not rephrased. Okay, so also becomes the right answer. Now see, there is one, we discussed the type earlier, that we have to make the best, we have to choose the best of the word. 10th question is in relation to this. Let me read the previous sentence. It says serving protein per serving, thereby people stay satiated for longer periods of time, fulfilled, complacent, or sufficient. For this we need to know the exact meaning of the words. Satiated is used in relation to the satisfaction, the fulfillment, and it is generally related to food that we are talking about over here. Fulfilled in comparison is more of a general term. You can fulfill your dreams, or you can fulfill, that means it is also the feeling of satisfaction. Satiated is also the feeling of satisfaction, but it is more of a specific word which is related to the food satisfaction. Okay, the satisfaction that you get when you are full, feeling full. Okay, complacent means self-satisfied. Definitely we are not talking about the self-satisfaction. And sufficient means adequate. So we are definitely not talking about the adequacy as well. Now, last but not the least question, it says, see, because consumers reap the nutritional benefits of Greek yogurt and support those who make and sell it, therefore farmers and businesses should continue finding safe and effective methods of producing the food. Now you see, again, it's a question on punctuation, where punctuation plus another thing as well, that is one or another word is being added on, and you have to make a decision whether it should come or not. It, therefore farmers, it comma farmers, it comma so farmers, or it colon farmers. Remember guys, you know, like when we were using colon, when a list was coming up. So very first of all, we can see whether a list is being followed after it or not. Therefore, farmers and business should continue finding safe and effective methods. It's not a list. Definitely not D. Okay. Now, therefore means conclusionary. Statement should be there. Because consumers understanding, not just reading, let's try to comprehend the information. It says, because consumers reap the nutritional benefits of Greek yogurt and support, therefore farmers and business should continue. It seems to be right. But if I ask you, therefore and so, let me put C over there. So farmers should do that. Isn't it sounding similar? Keep that thought in mind. Let me have a look at B as well. It says, because this, support and sell it, farmers and businesses. Again, it seems to be right. So now I'm not even down to 2. I'm down to 3 of the options, which I'm confused in. I was able to eliminate D logically, but what should I do now? it brings us to one of the concept which says whenever our sentence is starting with one of the transition word, that is because, in this case it's starting with because, let us have a focused look on the type of the sentence that it is. It is starting with one of the transition word, it has a comma, there is a change of the thought, and the thought continues. Rule says whenever one of the sentence is starting with a transition word, after comma you cannot use another transition word. So by this rule, I cannot use therefore, I cannot use so. B becomes our right answer. That is it, comma, farmers. Let me read the sentence and let you assess it whether it feels fine or not. Because consumers reap the nutritional benefits of Greek yogurt and support those who make and sell it, farmers and businesses should continue finding safe and effective methods of producing the food. Definitely a thumbs up to the right structure of the sentence. So that's it for the day.